And welcome to a very special edition of Nerd Initiative News. So, let me go around and introduce our fine establishment of the Nerd Initiative panel that you're seeing here today. First and foremost, my name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also Nerd Initiative editor in chief. On screen is a gentleman that you know from Thursday nights as 1/3 of the Triple Threat, bringing you all the positivity in pro wrestling. He is also the Nerd Initiative news anchor. Please give a warm welcome to Just Nick.
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Indeed, indeed. Joining him across the screen there, you know him as the GEO of Nerd Initiative, the head honcho himself. Please give a warm welcome to Michael Rothman. Michael, what's going on?
Thank you, guys. I like GE No, so the Galactic Executive No. Yeah, that's good.
that definitely does work. On the lower half of the screen, you know her from the positivity that she's always bringing on the Vigilante Vibes podcast, but you also know her as one of the lead writers at the Nerd Initiative Bullpen every single Wednesday when you need your comic picks. Please give a warm welcome to Megan.
Hello, everyone.
Yes. And joining last but certainly not least, a member of our Nerd Initiative Bullpen. You see her on TikTok all the time. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only Janelle.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming on. And chat, super chat, we definitely want to interact with you. So wherever you're watching us, please get in the chat here because we are giving you a State of the Union address, but I will actually turn this over to our Nerd Initiative news anchor to give you the breakdown of what we're doing here today.
Well, I want to thank everyone for jumping on today. I appreciate it. And today, Ken really kind of set it up there. Today, we are talking Marvel in 2025. It's been interesting the past few years with Marvel coming out of COVID and moving into this new phase in the MCU, the cinematic universe, and obviously a continuation of their incredibly strong comic runs. So I figure let's kind of recap where we're at with all the projects as they sit today and what we're going to see for the year. Let's give our opinions on everything.
Excellent indeed. So, Nick, since you are steering the ship here, where would you like us to begin?
Well, I think the best place to start would be in the Marvel Comics world. And I'm going to lead with you, Ken, on this. Where do we stand right now with Marvel Comics, at the end of 2024 and leading into 2025? Where are our favorite heroes at?
Well, in the past year, Marvel had a very strong year. It was more of a transition phase in certain aspects. Arguably, the biggest moment that went down was the change of the Krakoan era in the X-Men line, that we were coming out of the Jonathan Hickman-led storyline and became more, I guess, more familiar to the X-Men 97-esque era with Tom Brevoort taking over as editor of the X-Men line. And we had the From the Ashes campaign, which was a reintroduction of the mutants to the Marvel Comics universe, led by some fantastic stories. I know Megan will definitely vouch for this one. Uncanny X-Men by Gail Simone and David Marquez. One of the best books on the block and really set the tone for what we are seeing now with the X-Men line. And there's just seems to be a new buzz going around with that line. We're seeing characters like Dazzler get their own series, Storm, which has been one of the best series out to date by Miro Adeli and Lucas Runrick. And of course we can't forget about Phoenix with the one and only Stephanie Phillips writing. We're seeing a lot of characters get a new exposure to the audience, and especially with the X-Men being set for a big pop culture push when the MCU is really kicking into gear now. I'll turn this around to the panel because I know everybody here is reading X-Men, starting with Megan. What would you say has probably been the biggest strong suit coming out of 2024 into 2025 for the X line?
Oh gosh, I think From the Ashes is some of their best work, honestly, because they're giving so much of a showcasing to mutants that really haven't gotten that big of a push, like Dazzler. Jason Lowe's Dazzler run was fantastic, and we're going to see him continue with her with Concert of Champion that should come out this year, so that'll be amazing. With the X-Men, like Ken said, Uncanny X-Men, I think, is the best thing to come out From the Ashes. Gail Simone is phenomenal, and it's so good. And the crossovers have been fantastic. And Storm, which I feel like finally is a comic that does her justice as how incredible she is as a character. So all of those have just been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Janelle, now you're a big X-Men fan. Like, what would you say is something you're looking for from this line as we're going into 2025?
I mean, I love all the X-Men comics. I haven't been like closely reading it, but from what I've seen and what I've read, it's been really good. Mike, what's his name? Cell phone. Wallet Key said something in the chat, was talking about other characters, like Moon Knight, which I have read. I've read a couple of the runs for Moon Knight and stuff like that. So I'm definitely excited to kind of dive back into the X-Men, the comics, because mostly I read a lot more of the indie stuff. But for sure, just like I read Megan's reviews, so I'm sure that it's fantastic, with all of that.
All right. Yeah, I agree too. And I see Mickey's in the chat, Cat's in the chat as well. Definitely, we want to hear everybody's picks. In fact, I'll even throw out the first question of the night to the audience out here. Who is your favorite X-Men? Put it in the chat. Let's see it pop up.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so let's see how that go there. So, Nick, I know you're not really the comic, aficionado per se, but you know about the X-Men and obviously the movies, and now gearing up from what you saw with Deadpool and Wolverine. What is your take of what you want to see, like if you're going to the comic shops?
Well, if you're moving in after a huge year for X-Men last year, obviously on TV and with Deadpool and Wolverine, and with Marvel and Disney owning that entire property now, it's completely under their umbrella. They can do anything they want with it, which is a good thing, considering how strong Marvel is as a brand. What I would personally like to see out of the X-Men comics is them to continue doing a lot of side stories and really building up some of these other mutant characters that haven't necessarily gotten their day. And, some of them have over the years some great comic runs, but some of them not necessarily. And it's a good time to really take one of those characters and just give them a short run, a nice little solo run, and do something fun with it. There's some amazing people working and, writing and doing artwork for comics right now. And give them the opportunity to shine with a lesser known character. Let someone take it and make it their own for a little while.
Definitely can hear that. And Michael, obviously, about the X-Men line. You as a comic reader, like, what are you looking forward to seeing what they can do now?
Comics or shows? I mean, I think it's been said before, so I'm just going to be copying everybody. But I think the fact that, like Nick said and like Megan said, the merger with Fox, obviously Deadpool Wolverine was the crossover to that and almost in a satire form. So just being able to really kind of like actually do it. And we've seen the trailers for Captain America Brave New World, and they're talking about adamantium. And, I remember the days, I'm old enough to remember the days where they couldn't mention Spider-Man in, they were going to an Iron Man and some other movies, but they couldn't do it because they didn't own the rights. So that's exciting to see, like, the full Marvel universe on display. Like, that's really exciting. And I actually agree with Ken. Surprise, surprise. What Nick and what Megan said. Getting really cool, deeper looks at some characters that maybe we didn't go into before. I'd love to get a new retread of maybe like a Psylocke or going back with another Nightcrawler. Like it's really fun to get these different angles and different perspectives. So that's what I'd say, like, see in the comics, and them continue to kind of explore these, I guess those aren't lesser known characters, but lesser known characters, and really kind of in a fun, different take.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think we really want to see. And I think X-Men 97 really got a true grasp of the pop culture market, because that really took over for a good portion of 2024 as arguably the best show on TV. I mean, there is a substantial argument to be made for that. And seeing that kind of energy carry into the books, and really you're seeing characters get spotlighted and really shown what they can do, that now it's carrying over to almost a full year. We've already had one crossover event that's really taken a hold, and it was one that maybe some fans felt was a little rushed. I personally didn't mind it, because when you're dealing with two very different X-Men teams, of course, when they finally get together after what went down at the end of Krakoa, there's going to be some fireworks, and that was the raid of Greymalkin. But now, coming up in March, we're having our first 8-part crossover, which is traditional for the X-Men, because let's face it, when they do crossovers, it is quite the event. and that is going to be X-Manhunt. So if anybody has not been familiar, Charles Xavier, due to the events of Krakoa, was arrested by means, we'll just kind of say reasons, and now he is on the run because of the events of Raid of Grey Malkin. So seeing this, it's an 8-part event, is going to be crossing over in all the X-Men books and concluding with the X-Men Manhunt Omega. Megan, I'll start with you. How is your feelings about this?
Good, because Charles Xavier is a villain, and I'm sick of pretending he's not.
Preach. Preach. He might be the worst.
He is the worst, easily. I don't know how people have so much hate for Cyclops, but Professor X is right there.
He's in that conversation. Like, he did some very, very shady things, and it came really to life at the end of the Krakoa. And then Raid of Grey Malkin, it was a unique crossover. I will say it was short, but I think it got to the point where it established what it needed to, because there is a lot of feelings amongst the X community concerning Mr. Xavier and what he has done and where he stands now. So let me ask you this question, Janelle. Oh, I'm sorry, Megan, were you going to jump in?
No, you're fine. It was more explained in a newer comic, but I can't remember the name of it. So please go ahead, Janelle.
Okay. Well, Janelle, my question to you is, you being a comic reader, are you a fan of seeing these big crossovers? Or are you like saying, it's too much too soon?
No, I love crossovers. I think it gives an opportunity to have different characters interact with each other, especially for the X-Men. I definitely probably will pick this up because I love crossover events, even though if I'm not following a singular like run of a certain like group or whatever, like I kind of like going into the crossovers because that has like more action and more variety, and it like gives me a reason to keep going and to keep reading. And I just like collecting just things together, like, you know, all of the issues in a run, because then it's just easier for me to go back and read it again.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, I mean, crossover events are definitely kind of hit and miss. I don't mind this one though. I know some online chatter was saying this was too soon. I don't think this is, because it's only going to be wrapped up within the month. So it's not going to be drug out for 3 months and you got a 20-parter that, let's face it, in this day and age, it's tough to kind of really stock up on all those issues at once. So I think hitting short and sweet, and then I would assume the fallout from this is going to carry into the summer, where we'll be celebrating 1 year of the Fall from the Ashes campaign, and to see where they go, I think is going to be some really fun stuff, because especially as the movies are going to be ramping up, which super chat, we will be talking about after the comics. We definitely want to get your thoughts about that. I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more hype come in for the X line coming out as well. The other areas that I think are really jumping out is Spider-Man right now is poised to have a brand new series kickoff. And I'm going to throw this one to the Gino himself, because I know he's been reading this. So as a Peter Parker fan, as a Spider-Man fan, what is your take about restarting this series? Because we do know that we have a new series starting in April.
Ooh, I am one of the few people who really loved not Zeb's entire run, but the ending of Zeb's run. I thought was really strong. I know a lot of people are disagree. I just thought it was unique. It was different. It felt kind of like Dick Wolf produced it, and it was a Law and Order series. But I just thought there was, and Zeb, I know Zeb has a background in, he was one of the writers on Robot Chicken for years. Like, he has a background in TV, so it kind of had that gravitas to it. So I enjoyed it. I know some of the early stuff, people didn't like. I think it's nice. It's good to get a restart and get a fresh take. I feel like they've done this so many times recently. I'm actually, the more I think about it, I'm surprised that Ultimate Spider-Man has been such a revelation, because it is tough to take an icon and retcon it and have it that, or have it from a different perspective and like a different alternate timeline and have it be that great. We'll get into your friendly number Spider-Man later on. I'm the old guy in the room who I like the show. I don't know if I like the new origins and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. Anytime they want to go strong, and they can always redo it if it ends up not being to the level that is Peter Parker and his Spider-Man, right? I think there's so much competition out there now. Miles is right there on his heels. He's a fantastic character, a great Spider-Man. You have, Ghost Spider. So you kind of have to bring something new to the table with so many great Spider characters. Doc Ock he's a great Spider-Man too. So there's just so many different perspectives. So yeah, I love it. Like I said, if it's trash, they can redo it, and fans will complain for a few years, and they'll start it over again. I'm a purist, right? Like I love the MJ. I love the I'm still not I'm still not sold on his new love interest. I'm a nostalgic guy, and that's why I think we'll get to the Disney Plus series. I think throw out all the woke nonsense. That's insane. I'm the old guy in the room who I like my origin stories the way I like my origin stories. Getting bit from a spider from a different universe is kind of like throws me and my cataracts into a fit. So. But aside from that, that it's hard. I'm hardwired that way. But yeah, I'm excited. Sorry, I just rambled for a while. So yeah.
No, by all means. And super chat. The second question of the night: Spider-Man's got a lot of great villains. Who's your favorite Spider-Man villain? Let's see them pop up in the chat here as well. Now, Nick, like I say, I'm coming back to you because my goal is by the end of this is I want to see you picking up a comic by Marvel by the end of this year. What are you looking forward to if you want to pick up a Spider-Man comic?
Well, I'm always impressed with Spider-Man. Obviously, he is clearly, or not necessarily always but that character, that hero is clearly the most popular superhero in Marvel and probably in all superheroes today. I mean, that character is just so beloved. That little universe that he lives in, it's just so beloved. And like Michael was saying, we have another TV show doing another kind of reboot. We have a comic series doing another reboot. And it does make you wonder, at what point is there Spider-Man fatigue? It doesn't seem to ever come because we have a new series. We have a fourth movie in development with Tom Holland, a new comic book series. There's still the Spider-Man universe done by, with Miles Morales. I mean, how much Spider-Man can one handle? For me personally, what I would like to see play out in the comics arena would be a proper Miles Morales and Peter Parker crossover done with some of the context that we've seen now played out in some other, like in the movies that we've seen. I think something like that could be a lot of fun. And when it comes to Spider-Man, though, I'm a purist as well. I love some of the OG villains that just have, they can be so over the top. Like Doc Ock can be so over the top, and it's fun. So I think I'm kind of agreeing with Michael here, where I just, give me Uncle Ben dying again. Like, all right, we've seen it a million times, but it just pulls at your heartstrings and just run it back again. Having someone just take that story and you redraw it and you change some stuff here and there, but overall it really just follows that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that's something that when they're going to this line, and I know Michael showed the graphic about it just a second ago with Joe Kelly, Pepe Larraz, and John Romita Jr. on the art for this. It's really good. I think going to go back to basics because I think that's what the fans want because we love Peter Parker. We love Miles Morales, and they're doing fantastic work with him at Marvel as well. Plus, there's also a character that I didn't think was going to take off as well as it did, but she has made a direct impact in that Spider-Land, and that is Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider. So all three books are, characters are really doing some great things over at Marvel. But I think now coming out of the Zeb Wells era, which fans have a lot of opinions on, and, that's probably the easiest way to put it. I think when we get this issue in April, I think we want to just get back to basics involving Peter Parker. And if you haven't been reading Ultimate Spider-Man, that book is really, such a breath of fresh air, but it's got such a modern twist to it as well, that there's something for older fans to get into, newer fans to obviously jump into. But I think with this Amazing Spider-Man run, I think they're going to get really back to basics for Peter. And I think that that's what they really need to do right now. And I have a feeling that's going to be one of the biggest books of the year, bar none. And I would say the biggest for Marvel, but I think that there is going to be a movement going on starting next week, which I guess, spoiler alert, this book will be the #1 review starting New Comic Book Day at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, covered by our one and only Megan. And that is going to be Doctor Doom making
Ooh.
his impact on the Marvel Comics universe, One World Under Doom. So Ryan North, RB Silva, David Carell are going to be on that. And then I had to throw in the cover here for what is coming in March, because boy, oh boy, there's a lot of things that are happening here. So let me throw this to Megan, because obviously you're going to be covering this. Doctor Doom, Sorcerer Supreme, how did we get here, and where do you think we're going with this?
I honestly have no idea. I'm just here for the wild ride that it's been. I feel like they're going to really give it their all when I feel like Marvel Studios and Marvel Comics have kind of been co-conspirating behind the scenes a little bit, because, we get this really cool looking Doom 9-issue comic run right after we get the Robert Downey Jr. will be Doom in the next in Doomsday. So I think they're going to give it their all to hype up that too, because that wasn't quite as well received as they hope, but I'm okay with it. So I'm not sure where it's going to go. I have not looked into it one bit. I want to be completely surprised. I just want to be blown away. That's it. And Doom always does the job.
Yeah, I think I think you hit it right on the head. Obviously, there was a trailer that came out this past week that really shut down the internet between 7 and 9 a.m. on Tuesday, and really made some impacts. And that was Fantastic Four First Steps, which we'll be talking about in just a little bit. But when this trailer is coming out, I think Marvel really wants to put the first family of Marvel right back in the forefront of the pop culture audience eyes. And doing a crossover, especially, they kicked this off last year with Blood Hunt, and how that ended, because that's when Doctor Doom stole the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme from Doctor Strange. Albeit, though, he did it, well, kind of honestly, but that's why you got to check that story out at your favorite comic shops to really get the full insight of what's happened. And we've seen him dabble a little bit with this role in Amazing Spider-Man as of late, but now going into his full year of One World Under Doom, I think is going to be exciting. Janelle, I know that you're a big MCU fan. How are you thinking about how this series is going to play out?
Well, just going off of what Megan had said, like, I think really Marvel Comics and studios are trying to really become one, because obviously the hype of Doctor Doom. And just like Megan, I don't have a problem with Robert Downey Jr. Becoming Doctor Doom in the MCU, because it really does stretch his acting chops. And I really hope that he has a different take than what he did in the Iron Man movies, because they are so iconic. So I'm really excited to kind of read that comic run, One World Under Doom, like to see exactly like what it's all about. Because as of late, like maybe like a month ago, I started collecting some Fantastic Four comic books. I really wasn't a big fan of Fantastic Four, but then I was like, well, let me check it out, and then actually like get into it. And now I'm kind of hooked, and now I can't stop. So of course with them, it's with Doctor Doom, and I'm hoping to see a lot more interaction between them. And then we know the history with him and Reed Richards and everything like that. So really excited for this run of One World under Doctor Doom.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting times. I mean, Marvel, I think, is really going to be firing on all cylinders. But this is going to be the event that I think is going to be the pace setter for the rest of the year. I think Fantastic Four, which, I mean, the current run right now has been very, very good. If you really want to get a true essence of what Marvel's first family is doing, this current run written by Ryan North, I think, has really nailed the points. And I'm very excited to see where they're going to go with this, because with the MCU really kicking into high gear with the movies, the comics line is really going to kind of piggyback off that. And honestly, I think this is nothing but big wins, because let's face it, if you can get more people to go to the comic shops to go check out these fantastic books, you've done the job. So the more movies, the better. Would you say, Nick?
Well, I think as we start moving on here, because we're already trying to jump into the movies and TV show, I want to give everyone an
That's me just
opportunity
producing
here.
poorly. It's fine.
I just want to give everyone an opportunity here. Ken, 2025, what are you reading?
A lot. But as far as Marvel, I really love the X-Men line. I really love Phoenix. I think that's been one of the best books out. Storm has absolutely blown me away. I think that the Uncanny X-Men book has been fantastic. Like I can't recommend that enough. If you really want to get like a true essence of what the X-Men should be, I think this is like the blueprint for it. And I think that that's been great. I read Amazing Spider-Man. That's what I grew up on. That's been, was my favorite superhero growing up. I also did Captain America. Like I say, there's always something going on there. Really excited to check out the new Sam Wilson series is getting rolling out too. And they're like, Marvel is just, the cool thing about them is, and I know this is something that like Stan Lee has always said too, it's always supposed to feel like your neighborhood, your city, and you have that connection where everybody bumps into everybody. And that's one thing I love about Marvel is you can really see anybody interact and jump in different books, and you always get some great stories. And I think Marvel is really going to be amping that up going in with this Doom, because I love Dr. Doom. I think he's one of the best villains when he's really given a role of like the true world threat. So when he's in a situation like this, I think that only raises him just that much higher of what he can do. And I think that's going to be a big bucket of wins. So I'm really excited to check this series out when it drops too.
All right, let's go around. Megan, what are you reading in 2025?
Everything.
Yeah,
I do so many reviews a week. But yeah, really anything I can get my hands on. I'm not too big a fan of jumping in halfway through a series.
Mm-hmm.
And when I start a series, I have to finish it. So I'm looking forward to a lot of things that are coming out, especially One World Under Doom.
Janelle, your turn. What are you reading?
Same thing as Megan. I try to dabble. Well, obviously the X-Men, the X-Men series. Moon Knight, I'm back and forth. So like, I pick up, put down, pick up, put down. I really want to read anything that is the special edition for Black History Month. Yay! So, I mean, definitely I want to read anything that is towards that. But yeah, I mean, I just dibble dabble and everything.
Okay. GEO Michael, you're the last one. What are you reading?
I mean, clearly Spider-Man, but also I do think Janelle really hit it on the head. Fantastic Four is the reason they're called the first family, and I think I'm going to go back to my age again. Not that I'm not that old, but they were really the start of it. I mean, multiverse, bumping into each other, that all started with the Fantastic Four. This Man, This Monster was the first time we saw the multiverse in comics, and so they are just a blast. And Dr. Doom is the best villain ever. Let's just say it put it that way. Like there's no one better. And he can go in a Secret Wars, and he can be somewhat of a good guy, somewhat of a bad. Like, I mean, he really is the best of all the qualities we look for in an amazing villain. And so I really want to get back into Fantastic Four. They just have some amazing stories. I'm a huge Galactus fan too, and so it was great seeing him in the trailer that we talked about earlier. And we'll talk about some more. So I'm like Janelle. I just know it's going to be a problem once I get into it because the stories are so good and they're so vast. I mean, I am old enough to remember when Jim Lee relaunched Fantastic Four. Was it the 90s or 2000s?
90s.
So yeah, I mean, I am. The arthritis is making it tough to get all the different various things, but there's just so many with like the different. It's so different than than we all grew up, but it's variety and something for everybody, and it's a blast and it's fun. So I do want to pick my battles and get back into FF because they are they're the first family for a reason, and please, whoever's up there, get this movie right, because we've been waiting for a good movie for the longest time, and I like where it's going already. We'll see about the RDJ stuff. I'm torn on that, but yeah, FF in 2025 for me, for sure.
All right, and for myself, I think I am going to follow your lead, Michael, and find something Spider-Man related, and I'll pick it up and start reading through it. I think everyone just relates to Spider-Man in so many different ways. We all were in high school. We were all probably weird and awkward in our own ways. Maybe we really won't, but we thought we were anyway. And that's just what, you just reminisce on those days, and Spider-Man, that's just whoever iteration of Spider-Man is, that's what they are. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
Sold.
All right. Well, I think it's time. We keep teasing it and talking about it. I think we need to jump into the TVs and movie portion here, because we got a lot to talk about here. Yeah. So I'm just going to run through the 2024 releases real quick for TV and movies, and then we're going to dive right into 2025, because 2024 was a interesting year for Marvel. It was a little light on the releases after really pushing out a lot of content. So, for TV, for live action shows, we had Echo and Agatha all along. And then for animated series, we had X-Men 97 and What If Season 3. And then for the movies, it was Deadpool and Wolverine. And there was a few other little things here and there, but that was the main attractions of the year. And, looking at the TV shows, you had one that was not necessarily the most well-received, and then you had one that really over-delivered. And for the animated series, it was kind of the same thing. One that was probably the best thing that Marvel has done in their animation studio for a long time. And then What If Season 3, it's just kind of there. And obviously Deadpool and Wolverine. And then Deadpool and Wolverine, that was fan service to the max. So let's, Ken, you can get to talk as much comics as you want, but I want you to pick these a little bit. What did you think of the animated series and the live action shows first, and then obviously Deadpool and Wolverine in 2024?
So live action wise, I thought I liked Echo because it was different, and I really wasn't sure what to expect, but I was very happy with what I saw. And then X-Men 97, I think, just absolutely blew me away, because growing up and watching that when it was the Saturday slot on Fox Saturday or morning cartoons, and then seeing it when it transitioned to weekday, and seeing that kind of feel of what really is the X-Men, not, anything too grim, anything too extreme, if you will, but it was just like bare basics X-Men 101. And to see that era of the 90s, which I always think is like arguably the best, come to form now, how 30 years later, and just to see that feel really show up and win over a new audience and start talking about Rogue and Gambit and Remember Me, and that moment in time, because that was such a mix of storylines, and yet to see that pull it off, and they really nailed the characters. And I thought just to see that excitement pop up online, when we talk about fandoms and everybody getting into something, I thought that was, where it really excelled at. And I thought that we saw that was a universal hit that I can't really see too many negative comments pop by. And in this day and age, the more positivity we can have online and discuss that fandom, the better. So that was always that, like I say, that stood out head and shoulders above everything else for me. And Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, did its job, because we knew Deadpool coming to the MCU was going to be something. And I think bringing Hugh Jackman back, they did the story the right way and really open up the door for where we can go with the next phase involving mutants in the MCU. And I have to agree about What If. What If is a great series in small doses. But the one thing is with that, if you keep it around a certain theme, or you keep it around a certain story in comics, it's like an iconic story, because that's really where What If took off. I think it really connects more. When they went a little far to the comedy side of things, and try doing just like a real amalgam of just like too much at once. I always say this is the reason why Batman Superman failed. I know I'm crossing universes. I watch everything, folks. Is okay. But it's like when they tried adding too many stories together, you're going to miss the mark. And I felt that they did that with What If this year, because the payoff at the end, I don't really think it was a payoff. It's like, okay, well, where are we going from here? And I think to do that, it's tricky. Like that's the one thing about What If. Like I think the current run they did with Galactus and the different heralds, I think has been very good. But it's like 5 issues, done, next topic. And I think that that's where that excels at. So I think that, but for getting back to the point though, live action, I think it was good that they took a break. They gave us so much. I think we all got to be a little greedy about it. So to see them slow it down since really July, and then now they have the deck reloaded and are ready to go completely crazy with it. I'm excited as a fan. I don't believe in superhero fatigue because I remember the days when it was like a miracle to get one of our favorite comics onto the small screen in animation form for like more than one season. So like this, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think we have superhero fatigue. I think we had a quality issue because we've seen some amazingly highly produced, highly written, highly acted, highly everything quality shows, performances, and it's really shown. If you look at Amazon and The Boys, totally different type of content, but
Oh yeah.
been so highly received. And I think that was kind of one of the things missing from Marvel over on the TV side of things. And there has been some really good stuff. So Megan, I really want your opinion on the live action shows, Echo and Agatha all along, because again, that's all we got last year.
With Echo, I think Marvel didn't have confidence in it as much as they should have, because they ended up taking out the second to last episode, which was the episode that explained her powers, which would have made it flow better. But then they took it out and dropped it all in one day, so you could binge it, and it just kind of felt like they want to brush it under the rug. But I really enjoyed it. Agatha had no business being as good as it was. It was phenomenal.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think that there were so many people before it saying, who asked for this? No one asked for this, but they were awfully quiet once a few episodes came out. So that tells you a little something there. With Deadpool and Wolverine, I agree with Ken. It did what it was supposed to do. I really enjoyed it. It was very Deadpool. And I like that it showed that Marvel can make jokes at their own expense, because there was a quality issue. Personally, I think it's because the right people were not involved with making the movies and the shows. So it all started when Daredevil Born Again, Kevin Feige and some higher ups went and watched what they had already filmed, and they said, absolutely not. We are not doing this. And they revamped the whole thing. They changed the timeline of when everything comes out. And I think that's Kevin Feige actually being involved now. That's why I'm really excited for Fantastic Four, because he's involved now. That's his favorite team. So I think we're looking really good this year.
Janelle, I want to give you a chance to touch on 24 as well. Looking at the animated series, X-Men, obviously just completely, I don't want to say it came out of nowhere, because I think there was just so much hype around it and so much nostalgia, and it just completely, multiple home runs here on this show. And then What If as well. I mean, kind of like, what if we just didn't make this series? What do you think?
So I, as Ken said, that I was one of those little kids that was watching X-Men 97. Actually, fun fact, 97, I was 3 years old. So
Oh boy.
So jealous.
So I think bringing it back and having a continuation of the X-Men was fantastic. Loved it. As far as the live action side with Echo, I didn't mind Echo. I actually really enjoyed it. I just wish that we will see her again, hopefully in some type of movie or a television show, just to kind of see and show her face again. Because I feel like some characters have gotten swallowed up, and not being shown anywhere. You got a Shang-Chi, you got Moon Knight. He hasn't been seen, and even though a lot of people didn't like it, Eternals. But like we're missing characters that we have not seen, and hopefully they will come back, in other things. But anyway, but back to the point. I really enjoyed Echo and also Agatha all along. It kind of took me a few episodes to get on the train, but I finally got on it and I was like, okay, I love it. Agatha was really well done, especially the finale. So it was looking good for the live action and for the animation part. The only series that I didn't like was What If. I just felt like it didn't hit the mark, didn't do anything for me. And it's like, I feel like that's an excuse because like you have other shows like on other, like I'm in the midst of Invincible season 3 and it's fantastic. So there's no excuse like to not have good writers, good animators and make that thing work. But just like what Ken said, like maybe in small doses it would have worked and you just have the da 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 done and and it would be a lot better.
Michael, let's put a bow on it here. Deadpool and Wolverine. It was the summer blockbuster of blockbusters, fan service to the max. What do you think of 2024?
So let me look at it from like a business and logistic perspective. Here's the problem.
It's a good perspective.
Here's the problem with What If and the problem with other things. I remember, wow, I mean, this wasn't that old, but this is probably like late 2010s when we started to kind of expand in the multiverse, right? And they were really making the MCU, and this is before Marvel Television, Marvel Animation. They were trying to make it like a legit comic universe, right? A little bit of everything for everyone. We had Hawkeye in 2023, and we had, and Janelle astutely said, there's, the Eternals, there's Shang-Chi, it's tough to translate a print medium that we all can kind of pick and choose and can exist to a medium like movies and TV because there's just so much, right? And that's what If, and to what Ken said, I think that's the crux right there. What If is a comic series through and through. And Ken said it earlier. What If number 1 was what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four? And that is back in Amazing Spider-Man 1 in 1960s. Like, he wanted money. They're like, we're heroes. We do it for free. And he was a little whiny little baby. I'm being honest. Like, that was loud. Read Spider-Man 1 through 5. He's such a little baby. It's so funny. Like a little bratty kid. And he's like, I'm not, no one loves me. And so you can't, it's very hard to translate that to the screen. I think, and Ken said it earlier with Batman v Superman, that was the problem too. They tried to make it a comic and it's The Dark Knight Returns, and it just didn't work. Plus the Martha scene, we could talk about that for like 3 hours. Dumbest thing I've ever seen. But,
yes, agreed.
Why'd you say that name? But I think what makes the shows and are so special is connecting with people, right? And that's why Spider-Man is so popular. You just, anyone can wear the mask. So same thing goes for X-97. It's a nostalgic thing, but it's so well done. Echo I thought was pretty solid. I thought Agatha was phenomenal. I'm on the same path as What If. I would have rather seen like little one. You don't have to tie it together. Everything doesn't have to be a universal collaboration to fight, Infinity Ultron or fight this person or fight whatever. Make them fun things where we get to see a different perspective from side. And it's kind of like, raise your hand here if anyone here has seen I Am Groot. There's 4 minutes.
I did.
I thought they were all, I mean, I'm sure my kid will love them. I thought they were so like, are they for pets? Like, what, they were like 3.
How dare you? It was adorable.
Like, there was just no storyline to it, but I understand, I respect it because I think it's definitely made for kids, right? It's you're not getting anything out of it. It's like Groot playing with stuff and dancing and whatever.
Yeah.
So I like, that's why I said the business perspective. They're trying to hit on stuff for everyone. And I respect that. And so I don't think it will translate totally from like being a comic book where I can pick this up and not pick this up. There's too much money involved in the big screen. And I think they've tried that and had some misses. So I think they, like Kevin Feige said, I think we needed a break. I think they needed to contract a lot of the stuff that's going on. and focus on one thing at a time. I mean, how many things are out there? There's Thunderbolts. There's been Young Avengers teased for years. There's so many different things. We said Eternals. Will we ever see them again? Probably not. Like they just did too much too soon. So I think that's 2024 is like a contraction, and then moving into the Deadpool era, and then maybe we'll see Hugh till he's like he said, till he's 90, because it doesn't seem like he's ever gonna leave. But
Yeah.
I think we're gonna get more quality things moving forward. I with Feige back involved and like being like absolutely not. And Daredevil, very important. Get that right, because that's one of the best shows of all time. Those first 3 seasons or whatever, fantastic.
Well, speaking of Deadpool and Wolverine, it just won Best Comedy Film at the Critics' Choice Awards.
Woo!
Hey.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
cool.
your breaking news.
All
Well,
right.
yeah, breaking news on the news show. Well, I think if I held back any longer here, you guys might all jump off stream. So 2025, I'm gonna do my best to channel my inner Rich from Wrestling Night Live, and I'm just gonna run through this like it's a wrestling card here. So for 2025 releases, TV live action, Daredevil Born Again, March 4th, Ironheart, June 24th, and Wonder Man in December 2025. Didn't see an exact date for that yet. For the animated shows, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that is already debuted. Eyes of Wakanda, August 6th, and Marvel Zombies, October 3rd. And then everyone, Captain America, Brave New World. Next week, Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Yes.
We have Thunderbolts with an asterisk, which is still kind of weird, coming out May 2nd. And we can't not talk about this one because we already started. The Fantastic Four, First Steps, July 25th, my birthday. I am so pumped for this.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
2 birthdays,
So-
2 releases. I'm not saying it's coincidence.
Yeah. So, Megan, I'm sorry, Ken, I'm going to skip you because I think she might,
No, by all means.
drive over to me and murder me. Daredevil Born Again. I mean, that's our first live action show, and you did an NI News breakdown on it, but I think here, tell us what you think. Is this going to be a true continuation of the Netflix show? We already teased that, Kevin Feige, he's really taken the reins on these projects again, and like you said, he jumped in there and it was like, nope, this ain't gonna work for me. We're cutting this up and redoing stuff. So where do you see this landing? Where do you see this going?
I don't know where I see it going, but I do know that little old Kevin, wanted to pretend that the Netflix Daredevil show didn't happen for so long, just like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he can't pretend anymore because it has the exact same vibes as that show, which is exactly what they should have done. I think it will be a really good continuation. I think they know what works. They saw what they did have and they knew it wouldn't work. And it feels like they actually do have full confidence in this. And the actors do too, because remember, we didn't hear anything from the actors. They weren't hyping it up when they first started filming, nothing. But now we hear it all the time. We see Charlie Cox everywhere, Vincent D'Onofrio speaking out. I think all of them are really, really excited for it because they also know how good of a quality it'll be.
All right, I'll jump back to Ken. Ken, the Daredevil Born Again, we saw on Netflix how far they would push it, and the early reports for Born Again, I mean, this just got the highest TV rating in the UK for their rating system. I mean, we're talking rated R here in America. Do you think that will really translate to the Disney audience?
Yes. I
figured
think
you'd say yes.
resounding yes. I think, like, listen, if I may, the cameo in She-Hulk was cool, but the swashbuckler Daredevil with the yellow suit was not going to fly. We need the man in red back doing what he does best, and the Netflix show set that bar so high that if you didn't go in this route to come back, it'd be a disaster. And the one thing that I think drove this was the fans. Like, let's not forget there was the hashtag Save Daredevil, and that movement was so loud. Oh, what's that, Megan?
No, that was me. I did that. I was involved in that too.
Okay. Well, thank you, Megan.
You're welcome.
Hashtag thank you, Megan should be in the chat. So that being said, those fans were so vocal about this is the version. And if you go through the history of Daredevil comics, this needs to be like those fantastic stories. You need to have dark, gritty, tragic stories, because that's what makes Daredevil who he is. And to see like the Frank Miller adaptations, the Brian Michael Bendis adaptations, and all the fantastic artists that work too. Like I say, I could go on a tangent about this. To bring that essence to Disney Plus and really show that audience that, yeah, we can tell a story like this, and especially with the villain of Muse involved, which was such a deep dive from the Charles Soule and Ron Garney run. To bring that to the small screen, it's a gamble, but it's one that they said the fans are invested in this. They got most of the cast back from the Netflix show, and it really feels like it's just picking up where it left off. And I think that they could not have done this any more perfect than what we've seen so far. I can't see them missing on this. I think this is going to be a bullseye, no pun intended. And I'm just really curious about what spawns out of this, because we know that we've seen Bullseye in this. We know we've seen John Bernthal back as Frank Castle. We know that if we're talking that universe, are we going to see other Defenders come back in some variation? And I am hoping, fingers crossed, we get a Heroes for Hire show come out of it. That's what I'm hoping, because at the end of this, I think this would be a great way to show the Disney Plus audience what the Netflix audience already knew and merge those fandoms together. And I think that's going to be nothing but a big bucket of win.
Well, everyone out there, jump in the chat. Let us know who you think would be the best to kind of be the special occasion, the special tease, the special character that hasn't been announced, we don't know about, to jump in Daredevil Born Again. Janelle, Ken already started teasing it there. We already have the all-star cast back, including some characters we didn't know we were necessarily going to get back, like the Punisher and now Bullseye in there as well. What are you most looking forward to with Daredevil Born Again? It's the first live action show we're getting on the year.
I'm excited. I mean, I watched obviously the original. I'm excited to see most of the characters back, just like what Ken had mentioned. I'm just really excited to see Charlie Cox as Daredevil again, and Vincent always does a great job. Got to see him in Echo. He did a fantastic job in there. So, I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever. And obviously from the trailer, it looks like it's going to be a lot grittier, a lot darker, which we love. I think that Marvel should not hold back when it comes to the R-rated content. I mean, Echo was supposed to kind of be like that. From what I saw in the trailer, and I was like, oh, this is good. And then they didn't do it. So I think Daredevil will actually be committed to actually wanting to tell like the grittier stories. I'm really seeing a lot of, it seems like Daredevil has like a little bit of a struggle, like in between a couple of things. So I'm excited to kind of see him emotionally like struggle. Like I've never really seen that in a Marvel character, except for maybe like, the very emotional scene between Spider-Man and Iron Man in Infinity War. Like,
yeah,
I want to see that more, especially in Disney Plus shows, because like we have emotions that our favorite characters should have emotions. I love seeing that emotional depthness like within characters. So definitely excited to see all of that. And I'm just ready for whatever. And I'm excited, hopefully, besides the Punisher, which John Bernthal, I love him. I love him in other things like The Bear and other stuff, but I'm really excited to see him interact with them. But I'm really hoping they bring other people back like Luke Cage and like I want it all. I want it all.
Yeah.
I mean, the chat seems to be really lighting up here. I've seen a lot of people looking for Luke Cage, some looking for Jessica Jones. I think there was an Iron Fist in there. Michael, I mean, I keep going back to you to put the bow on things. Put the bow on this.
Gladly, on this one, gladly. I hate to rain on the Luke Cage parade. The problem with Luke Cage is it's a lot like Tobey Maguire. Mike Colter has a really bad back. And I remember when season 2 came out, he was already thinking about hanging it up. He just couldn't the pain was too much. And I remember, Toby almost didn't make, what was it? Jake Gyllenhaal almost took over for Spider-Man 2, right? Or was it Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
That's really difficult and stuff like that, especially for a big hulking guy like Mike Coulter. Hopefully he can come back in some capacity. I think Kristen Ritter will be back as Jessica Jones. I really do. I do love Mike Coulter. I would love to see him back. I just don't know physically he can do it. It would be great if he could. But I'm really excited. I think, hate to cross over again, but Ken mentioned Batman v Superman. I think they were that was a product of them trying to be gritty, like everything else was gritty and kind of following the trends. I think where they were going with She-Hulk and Daredevil originally was trying to do the Disney way, right? And they were going to be like, oh, it's fun and it's jokey and it's this and that. Well, you don't have Robert Downey Jr., so you're not going to do like PG-13 sarcasm and stuff like that. You got to go with what you had before. Don't bite off your nose to spite your face. Daredevil season 1 through 3 it's one of my all-time top five shows. Like that last scene with him and Vincent lives in my head rent free. Not even in the suit. He's got the ropes around his hand. I beat you. I mean, it is. And they got and like Janelle said, they have everyone back, and you have to play to the strengths you have. You have amazingly talented actors, and Bernthal, D'Onofrio, the actress who plays Vanessa. I mean, she is sadistic and charming at the same time. I mean, just a great cast. I'm glad they're going down the path they did with. And if you haven't, anyone out there, if you haven't seen Daredevil on Netflix, oh, you're so lucky. But go enjoy it from start to finish. It's so good. So yeah, that's my top one. I can't believe it's coming out in less than a month. It's going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be phenomenal. So yeah, I mean that's my thing, and I think who would I want to see there? Oof, I would have said Punisher a few months ago when it wasn't, because that's my guy. But man, I actually wouldn't mind. I mean, look, it's never going to happen. But my other guy, I'd love to see Spider-Man and Punisher. Maybe Punisher first appeared in Spider-Man. Spider-Man's, Daredevil's first crossover was Spider-Man back in the 60s. But he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And we do know Tom Holland, that's his rebirth in Spider-Man 4, is he's not the Avenger anymore. No one even knows who he is. So, he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man once again. So that would be kind of fun to see him interact a little bit. I know he's too big of a property, so that's me being silly, but
never say never. Never say never.
Never say never.
Yeah.
I'm going to go reverse order here. So we have two other live action shows, Ironheart and Wonder Man, and not as much is known about these properties in terms of what we're going to get from the TV shows. Obviously, Ironheart was introduced in the second Black Panther movie, but I really feel like you kind of have a blank slate here. You can do whatever you want cinematically with these two characters, and obviously with Wonder Man being all the way out in December, a lot of time for speculation to run rampant here. So Michael, from your knowledge of the comics, what type of things could we expect in these two shows?
Ooh. With Ironheart, I don't think it's a surprise that the Wakanda show, June, July, you have a 2-month gap, because Ironheart really fits in with her brilliance and her intelligence level. She pairs so well with Shuri, and she pairs so well with the technology of Wakanda. I think there's going to be some kind of a crossover there. So I think that'll be really interesting. And it'll be nice to kind of get more into the backdrop of Riri, because she is such a prominent character in the comics. And maybe there will be some kind of interaction, not with Iron Man, but some kind of interaction, with some senior level heroes, which would be nice to see too, some mentorship, kind of like Spider-Man had, with RDJ. I mean, I think Janelle mentioned that was an amazing scene, and Spider-Man Homecoming was great with the mentorship there from RDJ. With Wonder Man, it's interesting because it feels like they're not going to, not feels like it's obvious. They're not going to like the 60s Wonder Man. They're going to the 90s that we knew, like the actor that he's in Hollywood. And that's going to be interesting to see. I forgot his name, but I love the actor who they picked to play him. I also think it's going to be really, I don't know why it smacks of this. Did anyone see the show that was the backstory of The Godfather with, speaking of which, who was in that show? It was Miles Teller from, not, I would say from Fantastic Four, but not really. But,
What?
sorry. I apologize.
He'll be on the Council of Reeds at some point. We gotta acknowledge him.
Yeah, he's there somewhere.
He's there.
No, I think it's going to have that kind of effect. I don't think anyone saw it. It's a very rare. It was it kind of showed how The Godfather came together. And Miles Teller was in it. I don't know why, but it feels like we're going to be in like a lot of trailers and sets and him fighting crime. I'm excited for it. It's something that's different, and it's going to be a different take. So I think that will be really, really fun. And I also think he's going to be a little bit of a satire. Like he's a hero, but they don't know who he is, and there's going to be some, a little bit of humor in there, poking fun at himself and be like, "Who are you? I'm Wonder Man." I'm excited for that one. I think that could be a big surprise hit, I think.
Janelle, so Riri debuted in cinematic at the Black Panther 2 movie and was really in that movie elevated up to like a really overpowered superhero. What do you think we'll see in the TV show? Do you think she'll still be, obviously, from a, intelligence standpoint, she's one of the top in the Marvel universe, but do you think she will still be kind of at that level? Or do you think this might be more of pulling things back and seeing that character develop and really learn to grow into being that type of powerful hero? And then from Wonder Man as well, what's your long-term speculation on that?
So, as far as Riri, I love her. I mean, I really enjoy the character. I've read a couple of comics about her. Really was excited to see her in Wakanda Forever. I really think that they're probably going to try and integrate her with kind of being on an Iron Man-ish level as far as being smart and intelligent and being useful for the later projects, just because that she was integrated, in the Wakanda Forever movie. So really excited to kind of see a little bit of both, like the emotional depthness, and then also just figuring out who she is and really introducing to the MCU audience who she is. So then we kind of just have it in the back of our head. As far as Wonder Man, his name is Yahya Abdul Mateen. He's cool. I've seen him he's actually one of my favorite actors in really working right now, because he was in Watchmen, the one with King, and he won an award for Dr. whatever his name, I can't remember. Yes. So really excited to see him come into the Marvel universe and see what he's got for Wonder Man. And I'm definitely excited to see he's the actor and stuff like that, because it kind of gives me a little bit of a hint to like the Fantastic Four. You know how like it seems like it's kind of not a facade, but it's like like a forward fronting thing, and then eventually we'll be able to see exactly what is happening. So I believe we're kind of getting the same thing with Wonder Man, is like he's this actor, but what's really going on behind the curtain. And I'm excited to see that, and probably hopefully some characters that we know from the MCU, at least one character, so then it kind of connects more to what is going on with the movie side of things, or just kind of keeping it in the Disney Plus series arena.
Megan, obviously Riri debuted in Black Panther 2. Do you think in the show we'll have a strong connection to Wakanda, or will it be something different? And then I just want to hear your speculation on Wonder Man, because I mean, like, this is a character we haven't seen in the cinematic universe at all, and not even like really touched on. So I mean, it's kind of a open sandbox to do what you please from the comic book, archive.
I think with Riri, Ironheart won't really have anything to do with Wakanda, because I feel like they're going to try to separate it, because Eyes of Wakanda, which is going to be an animated show, I believe it's more about Wakanda's history rather than a current show. I believe.
You're right.
So so I don't think there will be any intertwining there. But I also think Wakanda Forever, I really did like the movie, but it could have been any scientist in her role. So I think that was their soft showcase of her, and then this will show like, okay, she's her own character. She doesn't need to stand on the shoulders of anyone else, which is what I really hope, because we're also supposed to get the Hood, Mephisto in that show too. So I think it's going to be a banger because I love science versus magic. I love that aspect. With Wonder Man, I don't know, Nick. I don't know, because from what I know from the comics is Wonder Man and his weird little thing with Scarlet Witch and then Vision and all that drama. And I'm like, but the MCU doesn't want us to know Scarlet Witch is alive. So what are they going to do? So I don't know, Nick. I don't know. I'm excited though.
So much emotion.
I
Right.
know it's going to get pushed. It's not going to be in December. We can all just stop it. I've wanted to say that for like 30 minutes now, but I forgot. So there you go.
You got it out now.
There you go,
Yeah.
man.
Ken,
Yeah.
bring it home here.
All right. So Ironheart, I'm excited about this. I cannot wait to see the Hood debut and really see what they're going to give Riri for a character, because I think this is all leading to her joining the Young Avengers movement that's going to be
Mhm.
happening. All signs point to this. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really amped up to see this. And I really want to see how they introduce, if they do decide to do Mephisto finally, like, sure. But the Hood is such an interesting character that to introduce him to the MCU, I would be curious where he goes after this, because I think with Riri, you could see maybe, I know I'm just kind of fan casting, but in the comics, Obadiah Stane's son, Zeke Stane, is a thorn in the side of Iron Man. What would happen if we have Ironheart versus Obadiah's son in a future series? I think that would be fun. I think that'd be a lot of possibilities there. As for Wonder Man, I am not going to lie. I really don't like the character of Simon Williams. However, I do like Yaya. I think Yaya is incredible. Whatever he's been in, Aquaman, Watchmen, like anything, any role he is in, he crushes. And the fact that they're treating this, Megan, go easy on me. This feels like it's WandaVision Part 2.
Oh my
There's
God.
something about this that feels like Wanda is manipulating things from the background, because it just seems to, I don't want to say meta, but it just seems like very like not a superhero show by any means. We know Ben Kingsley is back as Trevor Slattery
Mhm.
from Iron Man fame.
Mhm.
So what are they gonna be doing? And like I say, there's just this vibe that I'm getting that I think by the time it's said and done, Wanda reveals that she's behind this, or we're gonna have the return of the Scarlet Witch here, which will make things very, very messy, because we do have speculation of a Vision show is coming. We don't know anything about that. I know that's down the road a ways, but with the character of Simon Williams, I know it's going to be there. I just want to see the red coat and the turtleneck, and I'm good. Like that's the iconic 90s or late 80s look that I know him from, and I'm just like, he's always had potential, but Nick, to kind of put it that way, he was kind of like the Rock before he was the Rock, and it was Rocky Maivia, and they were trying to force him to be everybody's number one hero. That was how Simon Williams was when he first debuted. I will say that. And then I don't know what's that.
Oh, so they pushed him hard. Yeah, I remember that.
They pushed him like through the moon. Like he was supposed to be like the face of Marvel, I think, for like a good few months, and then just it wasn't taken off. And then they just made his background way too messy with like the connections here, there, and everywhere. Like I said, go to your comic shops, go pick up some issues. You'll definitely catch up on that. So that said, I am just really intrigued what they're gonna wind up doing. But Yaya's attached to it, so I'm watching. Like that's all I need to know for that. So when we get closer, it is. But you heard it here first. If it's a sequel to WandaVision, just saying.
It's not. It's just not.
Are we still getting? This is a random question, a non sequitur. Are we still getting Armor Wars? That's coming next year.
Yeah, yeah. They just keep kind of giving you, it's gonna happen.
Gonna
Just,
It's
but it's like, is it?
It's
Right.
the Star Wars project of Marvel.
yeah, it's the
They
Blade tree.
announced it, and then
There-
it just never happens.
There was a quote about it released today, actually.
Really?
Yeah, let me.
Okay.
It's like
You
the
guys-
Blade movie.
Well, Megan's looking.
It was Nate Moore. It was Nate Moore confirms the movie is no longer on the front burner. So he says, that's not my project, to be honest, but I do know as Marvel Studios continues to go through this phase, we want to make sure whatever we're making is awesome. So that means we had to slow down some things that were on the front burner. It doesn't mean we'll never make it. It does mean we just have to be a little bit more considered so that every time out, I don't know why he said that, audiences are guaranteed quality. So like, no.
I guess no.
I mean, the reason I asked was because we brought up Trevor Slattery, and my first thought was with Trevor Slattery, I was like, they were in a short together. I want more Justin Hammer, and I know he's attached to Armor Wars, and that was the random thought that came in my head. But that's a person I want to see again. It's Justin Hammer, because Sam Rockwell is another guy who can do no wrong. So,
I love Justin Hammer, but I think with Armor Wars, it makes me think that like Kang was involved or something, and they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out later. Then they're like, you know what? Like, why don't we just? Because Don Cheadle has talked about he's not pleased that it's not out.
yeah.
So they're kind of doing what they did to Riri Williams and just, kind of screwing over the actor there.
Well, I think when they changed gears from Kang to Doctor Doom, that threw a lot of things off.
Yeah.
Even though if you know the comic story, it would have nothing to do with Kang in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I think for where they want to go with War Machine, I wouldn't doubt that this comes out as a Disney Plus show. Maybe, we'll hear some rumblings after Brave New World, because I think that's going to be more of like a government type show, which we'll get to when we start talking about that. But I think for how Armor Wars works best, like from the comic, I think it would be something like a conspiracy type deal. And I think that coming out of this, we might have like a little teaser for it, and then they might come back to it down the road for it. So I'd say we just have to stay tuned. But I definitely see this as a Disney Plus show. I don't think it would work as a movie.
Right.
But I also think Secret Invasion screwed him over there too, because it's like,
oh yeah,
I'm sorry to bring it up because we've all been hurt here, and I get it. But I mean, they did kind of set up Rhodey to be like, why is Armor Wars happening if he's not Rhodey?
How long has he not been Rhodey? We never got that answer, right?
Yeah.
People are making assumptions, but no one knows for sure.
Marvel doesn't know.
And I think that's very important here. That's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this, Megan, is that I think some people have been a little hurt by some of the decisions and things that we've seen in Marvel over the past few years. We talked about some of the high quality shows that have been produced. Watchmen, that's the one I forgot about. That show was amazing. The Penguin, wrapped up. That was amazing. The Boys continues to go. Invincible. So it's not a fatigue thing. It's a quality issue. And that's a show with the talent involved should have been an absolute home run, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I want to move into the animated series, but I do want to move through some of it quickly because Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is already out, and the NI team has been all over this. We have so much content on it, so I do tell everyone, watching, please look through our archive and look for this because we clearly love this series. So, Janelle, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Eyes of Wakanda, and Marvel Zombies this year. What are you most interested in? I mean, Eyes of Wakanda to me seems like that might be the most interesting because you can do a lot with it. Marvel Zombies, we got a taste of that in What If? I don't know. And we all know Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is doing very well. It's very highly received. So talk to me a little bit about the animated series.
Yeah, so I mean, Spider-Man is good. I've been watching it, the animated series. It's fantastic, kind of a new take on Spider-Man, I feel like. And just like what Michael said, I know you like the classic, like MJ, like, classic suit and stuff like that. But I think it's just like you go into it and you just have fun. You're just watching it for fun. I think it's not supposed to be attached to anything or you just fun, and I've been really enjoying that. Eyes of Wakanda, I'm really excited because of there's a writer specifically who I follow. He does a show with Kevin Smith. It's called Fat Man Beyond. And Mark Bernardin one of the episodes. So he's a very good writer. So I'm excited to see exactly what he's been working on for Eyes of Wakanda. And of course, anything with Wakanda, I love. So I'm really excited to see exactly what this whole show is about. And then Marvel Zombies, I think is interesting. Just like you said, like we got to see a little tease of Marvel Zombies. And I just like zombies, just like how there's comic books, with like the horror aspect of it. So I'm excited to see exactly what they do with it. But I just hope they took their time with these animated shows, because sometimes, just like how we talked about with What If, it really wasn't, fleshed out for us, and really wasn't like, it didn't hold, for us. So hopefully everything will be smooth going into those two series. But the one currently I've been loving, Spider-Man, has been great.
Michael, I'm going to turn this over to you, but please promise you will talk about other things besides Spider-Man here, please.
I'll be quick. Yeah, I will be quick, actually, for a very, very rare time. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm it's the old guy, and I'm tied to it. I also think what throws me off with the animated show is he's got the old. I love the old '60s glasses. He first of all, for people that don't know, the Peter Parker in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is literally ripped from the pages of Spider-Man in the '60s. Like, he looks exact. It's Steve Ditko almost drawn to a PT. That's what throws me off, I think, a little bit. But I the show's enjoyable. I like it, and like I said earlier, like, just shush with the whole woke stupidness. It's nonsense that we're in 2025. Characters need to change and evolve. So I think that's dumb. That's just dumb. I like the Norman Osborn relationship. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of the Zeb Wells run, guys, a little bit. Them working together and stuff. And obviously we know who's the voice behind Norman is the great Coleman Domingo. So again, another guy who can do no wrong. So yeah, I'm a fan. It's just, again, it's just not the nostalgic show that I would have liked to have seen, but I can watch Toby and Spider-Man 1 and all day long. It's fine. The other two zombies, I'm the opposite of Janelle this time. I've never been a huge zombies fan. I'm fine with it. Like, that's just across all genres. So I'll be interested in it, but it might be like another What If for me, as far as, it might not stick to me. But Eyes of Wakanda, I'm really interested in as well, because I think we've just scratched the surface with that. I think we feel like we've had a lot of Wakanda. We've had 2 Black Panthers, but we really haven't when you look at the breadth of all the Marvel properties that we've gotten. And there's just so much there. Like, I want to see, I feel like the guy begging for like Star Wars, the Old Republic or whatever. I want to see the origins of Wakanda. Like, I would love to see, like, we got teases of it in Black Panther and other properties, but I would love to see how the civilization came together and the technology. That would be fascinating to me. So hopefully we see some of that there. And I think they'll have the license to do that because it's animated, so they can go to whatever time period they want to. So I'm excited for that as well.
Me personally, I mean, I'm a Lord of the Rings, World of Warcraft person. I love lore, so I'm very excited for Eyes of Wakanda. Ken, where are you at on this? I know you're a Spider-Man fan as well, and we've seen so much coverage on Nerd Initiative. So let's get your take on that, and then the other 2 shows as well.
To be honest with you, I don't mind. Like, I love what they're doing with this show, and I love the art style. Like, and the origin is like, it's different. And I just, because I immediately go like, okay, so he's already infected with venom. Like, how the heck is this going to play out? I guess I should say spoiler alerts. But, so here we are. But like I say, that's the only thing I didn't like about the origin. But I think the only thing that I'll say it's guilty of is they're trying to do too much too soon. And I think with like adding in so many Easter eggs, even though like the Marvel reader in me is marking out that we're going deep diving into the Runaways, Agents of Atlas, and like the other cast members here. So I like the steps they're taking. Coleman Domingo does no wrong in my eyes. I think he Fear the Walking Dead, enough said. Like, just that show alone, but the countless other things he's done, I think he's great. And like, I like what they're doing with him and Peter, even though like, I just want to let it go for what it is. And like that, it's a new take. They're swinging for the fences. Sometimes they're missing, sometimes they're hitting. But I think as long as they're nailing what they need to do, which is you're not losing track of what Spider-Man is. You know, he's the everyday hero that tries his best, and no matter who's underneath the mask, like that's who he is, and that's why I think everybody connects to him. That's why he's arguably the greatest superhero of all time. So when you have that essence in the show, which they do, I think you can kind of dabble into the different stuff and see what works and what doesn't. But like I say, for where they're going with it eventually, like I like what I've seen so far. I'm not mad about it at all. I'm more puzzled that we saw Venom the first episode. Like that was the thing that was like, what? So, but yet again, spoiler, but too late. As for the other shows, I love Eyes of Wakanda. Like I love the vibe for it. I would love to deep dive into the history of it and see what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to translate to it as well. So I'm all in for that show. I think it's fantastic. And then I'll be honest, Marvel Zombies is like What If to me, good in small doses. So I don't know how a whole series is going to play out, but I'm going to watch it and I'm going to go in with an open mind to it.
Megan, you're our Marvel anchor here, our expert.
Hello. So, reporting to you live from this room. I like Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I do think they're shooting themselves in the foot by releasing multiple episodes at a time because I feel like they're not hitting hard. They would if they was a weekly release, but I do understand they have a lot to pack in this year. So, but they are doing some things really fast. I think a lot of this is going over the head of more casual watchers, like Ken said, comic readers, ones that, you know, we've been reading them for how long. We see those things, but it is going over others' heads. But there are things I really like that they changed. Like, I love that Norman is black now because the waves make sense. It makes sense now. And I've always read the comics and thought like, oh my God, why? But who am I to judge? With Eyes of Wakanda, I really do hope it's from the beginning of Wakanda, when they first find the purple flower, when they establish rules, who is the king, that's what I want. But it's only 4 episodes, so who knows? Marvel Zombies, I am going to watch it because I am a Marvel content creator. And that is why. I have no interest in Marvel and zombies. I've never had interest in zombies. The Marvel Zombies comics, I don't like zombies.
But you know, to kind of just go with it, what a day and age we live in that we get the creativity and diversity here on the small screen and what we're seeing unfold. Like it's amazing to watch.
Yeah. It's a beautiful
All right.
thing.
I think it's time. We're a week away. Ken. Captain America returns.
You have no idea how excited I am for this.
We're getting Han Solo, Harrison Ford. Come on,
Oh.
Red Hulk.
Wow.
Like, listen, I could do without Red Hulk. Red Hulk
Okay.
give me Sam Wilson and an espionage thriller a la The Winter Soldier. Take my money. All right. Sam Wilson as Cap is an amazing character and long overdue in the comics. I will say light years better than U.S. Agent, and I will stand on my soapbox and scream that, which I don't want to go through because we're not behind a paywall. We'll talk about that with Thunderbolts. But listen, but you give him an espionage story, he's gonna run with it. We have the leader coming back of all people. Why? I don't know, and I don't care. Like, it's gonna work. And the Serpent Society, which is such a deep dive into the Cap's rogues gallery on so many levels. This can't fail. And I just can't wait to see what Anthony Mackie is going to do with the script. I love the vibe about it. This does kind of, in a sense, tie into when they fired Steve Rogers back in the 80s and made the abysmal decision about letting John Walker become Captain America, which, like that'll be saved for a turn of page episode. I know it's going to be coming up for something. I can't speculate on that now. But what I love that Sam says is when he's arguing with Harrison Ford about who Captain America should be, Sam represents everything the Cap should be, the ideals, not the politics. And that's something Steve Rogers lived by. That's something Bucky did in his little time running with it. That's why Sam and Steve are the best to do it. And when you can capture that and bring that on the big screen, give it to me. But like I say, espionage, Sam Wilson, you already have my money, so just take more of it. It's good.
Megan, we're seeing, Sam Wilson Anthony Mackie's first opportunity on a big screen performance here, his own movie. But we're getting a Captain America with no powers. We're always seen in Marvel is these superhuman super soldiers, and Anthony Mackie's got to rely on his cunningness and his tech. Going up against Red Hulk, what do you think?
I think Anthony Mackie not having the super soldier serum, it means he has to rely on the factors that actually matter as Captain America, as like who he is as a person. I don't think him and Red Hulk will really fight that much. I think they'll see, oh no, we have a bigger villain. We must come together. But also, I don't think Harrison Ford is completely in control of him turning into the Red Hulk. I think the leader is. So my theory is that Harrison Ford put the leader in jail, forced him to make a super soldier serum. And Harrison Ford said, I'll drink it. And he became the Red Hulk. That's how he got there. And the leader, who does have those powers, controls when he changes. So that's what I think.
I see that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Janelle.
You're welcome.
All right. Janelle.
Yes.
Anthony Mackie is getting his first movie, in my opinion, long overdue. We've seen a little bit of him in the Captain America role, and to me, it's been phenomenal. What are your expectations for this cinematic adventure?
Well, first of all, again, happy Black History Month. Yay! No, I'm really excited to see, Anthony and Captain America. I mean, again, long overdue time for him to be Cap, and really exploring this is just, it's amazing to see, because obviously, just like what Ken said, the comics, Sam comes from the comics, and he deserves, the spotlight. Just like I know everyone loves Steve Rogers, and I understand that, and I know that. I loved Chris Evans as Captain America too, but it's time for Anthony's time, and especially going into a lot of the other movies, we really need this Captain America figure, because obviously there's so much stuff that's going to happen at the end of this saga. And definitely his leadership is really needed during this time. So I'm really excited to see exactly what's going to happen. Harrison Ford, it's always a pleasure to see him. Excited to see him as Red Hulk. So I'm just ready. I'm ready for Captain America to shine. And, we see the Falcon as well. The guy who takes over for the Falcon, like the Falcon place. And again, like, it's like not a reintroduction, I guess a reintroduction, because like we had the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The only thing that I'm missing is his best friend, Bucky, because I love their banter together. It would have been nice to see that in this movie, since it is starring Anthony Mackie, and Sebastian Stan is really close with Anthony Mackie. So it would have been nice to kind of like have those jumps in between and just see what Bucky thinks of his best friend, like a continuation of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So yeah, but I mean, it's not happening, but still, I'm really excited to see Captain America in the theaters again.
Anytime people talk about Captain America in the cinematic universe, they always go to the Captain America 2, the Winter Soldier movie, because that is one of the best MCU movies made. Michael, can this movie live up to that type of hype? I mean, if you're talking Solo-esque Marvel movies, that's kind of the gold standard. So can they tell a story here that reaches that level?
Yeah, I mean, you guys are all sleeping on Giancarlo Esposito as well. No one's really mentioned
that. Yeah, my boy.
The cast is fantastic. So I think the answer is yes. I mean, it's tough. We don't want to do a comparison thing. It's tough, but I think it can. You have Giancarlo. Anthony Mackie is one of my favorite actors and just people in general. He's come a long way since Eminem roughed him up, in that live rap, battle.
Epic rap battle.
But he's a force, Anthony Mackie is just a force. Like, he's just full of energy. And then, Harrison Ford is having just a renaissance. What a renaissance he's having. So yeah. I do think it's going to be fantastic. And and the cast is just so strong. So I do think, and everyone's mentioned the espionage aspect. I'm really excited to see where it goes. And Timberlake Nelson, I forgot, him. I mean, what, like 20 years later coming back. So yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be, I know people are really pumped about it. I think it's going to be a sleeper because I don't think it's like an Avengers level hype, right? Not quality hype. Like people being like, oh my God, it's Secret Wars. Oh, this is crazy, blah, blah. I think people it could be like a Winter Soldier where people walk out and be like, whoa, that was phenomenal. And I think has a really good chance of that. Even more so than like we talked about Deadpool Wolverine did its job. It was a really solid movie. This one could be one that like stays with people for months or years, and just like, whoa, and just kind of think about it. Much like, again, like Winter Soldier.
All right. We're moving into Thunderbolts, everyone. My personal opinion on this one, and I'll do quick because I want to get right into my question over to you, Ken. But my opinion on this movie is that Captain America Brave New World is going to be an incredibly solid, incredibly well-received, and incredibly awesome movie. But Thunderbolts is going to be the movie where everyone goes, oh, the MCU is back. The MCU is back. Every writer out there is going to be putting that in their headline. Oh, the MCU is back. Because of the groundwork they did with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and then Captain America, and then Daredevil, Born Again. So I really feel like this is the movie where everyone's going to say, the MCU is back, even though it didn't really go away. So, Ken, my question to you, what's with the asterisk?
Yes, simple. The asterisk is for Avengers. Because by the time this movie is done, they will be the new Avengers. And it's going to be the Dark Avengers, if you know that comic storyline. But that's why it's the asterisk, because it's the hidden name. Because this is borrowing from a few different storylines in the comics. And granted, this has 2/3 of my I Hate Marvel Characters trilogy. So the fact I have to go see this is like it's two strikes against. I'm just hoping both of those characters get killed off. Or unalived. I'm sorry, unalived. I need to remember. So apologies for that. But I have high hopes for this because I remember the original Thunderbolts, the Kirk Busiek and Mark Bagley. And I will stand on this that issue number 1 was the last great comic reveal not ruined by the internet. And where that series went with the reformed villains that were trying to become heroes, and some stayed on the path, some didn't, and how it evolved over time, I think really gave a new vibe to like the whole Suicide Squad, theme. That said, for this movie, they are tying in a lot of characters, and it does have a lot of similarities to it. But I think what's going to be the strong points is Sebastian Stan is back as Bucky, as the Winter Soldier. We do have like the comedic David Harbour, Red Guardian involved, Florence Pugh as Yelena. And to see how they all work together against Bob, is going to be interesting to see play out. As you can tell by the sound of my voice, I am not a fan of the Sentry. I love Jason Lowe's latest series, but I am not a fan of Bob Reynolds there. So to see that he's involved with this, it's kind of playing itself out that it's going to wind up being the new Avengers. But I'm here for it. I'm just waiting to see how it is. But yeah, I'm excited for it. And I do agree. I think people are going to say the MCU is back because you're going to have so many characters involved. It's going to have that Avengers type vibe to it. But I think like low key, this might be, the least well-received movie of the 3 coming out this year, but it's not to say it's bad. But I think because people are going to have higher expectations for it. And when it doesn't hit that mark because people are going to think that this is supposed to be something else, then I think it's going to be a little trouble.
Megan, we got Valentina, Ballerina, Banana Fana, Fofina trying to pull this team together. What do you think of Julie Louis-Dreyfus' character and her role in the Thunderbolts asterisk?
As respectfully as I can, I cannot take her seriously because I just see Elaine. I just see Elaine dancing. Like I can't. Oh, it drives me nuts. I wish they would have just got someone else. But she does
see her
well.
character from Veep, which is actually even worse.
Yes.
So, I mean, more fun character, but like that's an even worse thing to see when you're.
She has that face that sticks,
Mm-hmm.
But I I like Ken's theory. I like that he thinks it's going to be the Dark Avengers. I think someone's going to die, and I think it's going to be Red Guardian. So,
Ooh.
look, Yelena has been through it, and she's one of those characters that'll keep going through it. And she has one comfort character, and they started each trailer with her seeking comfort from him, her dad. He's done, guys. I'm sorry. He's going to die.
Janelle, Bucky Barnes
what's
is-
your vibe on this?
Boom.
Well, you heard it here first. So,
Janelle,
That's
we
what I
get
think's
Bucky
gonna
Barnes in this. What do you think?
God bless.
Oh, I
Thank
love-
you, Jesus.
I
Oh,
love. Oh, sorry.
I thought he was talking to me. I'm so sorry. Were you talking to me? Or-
No, he went on to me. It's okay.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
No,
You're
no
good.
worries.
Good girl. Anyway, Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes. I love him. You know, it's nice to see him on the screen. Actually, I remember watching a interview from Sebastian. He said it's over 10 plus years that he has played the Winter Soldier. I'm a little nervous. Actually, the day after this movie comes out will be my birthday. So this is a birthday
Nice.
present, Marvel movie during my birthday weekend. So I'm really excited about that. But I mean, I'm a little nervous for all of them because obviously, you know, a lot of these characters have been in the MCU for a little while. And especially the oldest will probably be Sebastian. You know, our Bucky Barnes. I'm a little nervous about how everything will play out. I don't think necessarily the Red Guardian won't survive. I honestly think they might go after Bucky because obviously he has, you know, been there and everything. And, you know, there's a certain time versus like how we talk about the conversation about Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine till he's 90. You know, there is a point in the stories, you know, like, okay, like you've been doing this for a long time. Is it time to hang it up? Is it time to, you know, and just kind of wrestling with that question. So I'm really excited to see all of them. I love Yelena as well. She has been through it, just like what Megan had said. And I don't like U.S. Agent. Ugh, annoying. So
Yes.
you know, and I'm just Taskmaster. I'm not a big fan either, but you know that's just my personal opinion. But you know, I'm just excited, and it's my birthday, so I have to be excited for a Marvel movie to come out. So,
Michael, pulling from your comic book database of knowledge you got up there, your years of experience, because you keep dating yourself. I don't know why you keep doing that. You're young at heart. What do you think what are you speculating for these characters if you're pulling from that comic book knowledge? You know, where some of them might be going?
I'm going to pull from the movie knowledge. I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I know Ken's saying they're the new Avengers or the Dark Avengers. I tend to agree, but there's a lot of them. And I would say, I'm going to guess the over-under on the deaths is actually 2 to 3. So 3 is a lot. 3 is a lot. There might be a fake death, like, oh, and it comes back at the end, or she comes back. I'm thinking 2 are going to kick the bucket, and we're going to have 1 or 2 along the way, do something. So
are we starting a Deadpool here?
I think so. I think that's what we're doing, right? But to what Ken was saying, and I'm going to take it one step further, amazing cast. I'm not excited. Not going to lie. I think it's going to be the least received film. I think Captain America could be that sleeper where it comes out and people are like, that's the modern day Winter Soldier movie where people are like, whoa, that was amazing. Obviously, Fantastic Four goes in a totally different direction. Thunderbolts, I'm excited to see what happens, but there is a lot going on. And I think it does smack of Suicide Squad, which obviously, we've seen. And so I do think there's gonna be a couple of deaths, and I do think it's gonna have implications moving forward. Love Julia Louise. I could see her dying in this too. I mean, it's tough. I don't know. We'll see. I also could see Harrison Ford dying in Brave New World, saving saving Sam. So there's a lot that could happen. I also just know the actors. You know, Harrison Ford, his one rule for coming back to Star Wars was you're killing off Han Solo in the Force Awakens. So I don't know how much Julie Louise signed on. So yeah, I think we're gonna get surprised. Whether it'll be a good plot and a good story with Sentry and some other characters in there, I don't know. But yeah, we should definitely. That's a great idea, Nick. Let's start a Deadpool who's dying in the. I think Ghost dies for sure. I know there were some fans out there, and I'm very neutral. I think she gone. I think she gone. And I think maybe one other person. And I agree. I think sadly it might be Red Guardian, which sucks. He's the best.
Yeah,
I know, but he was pushed really hard in What If that last season. So
yeah.
yeah.
But if it's the Sentry and U.S. Agent, I will give a standing ovation when they get unalived.
Ken, those are going to be the two that live, and you know it.
I know, and I'm gonna be so angry when I come out of the film.
Oh, I can't
Sentry
wait.
ain't dying. They're making him like the Marvel Superman. He's not dying, which
I know,
stinks.
I know,
US
I
Agent
know.
can go. Yeah, but Sentry is. I don't think he's gonna have a prominent role in the future of the MCU, but he's gonna be there. Yeah.
If they could just loan him to like the next incarnation of Venom, and Null just rips him in half like he does in the comics, yet again, a standing ovation will come from me in the theater. Like, but I agree with you. They're gonna force him down, like you know, well, like Wonder Man was. But at least Wonder Man like has some redeeming qualities. I still have not seen him in the Sentry. That's what it is.
So I just want to throw this out to all the viewers out there. Ken will be coordinating the Nerd Initiative Deadpool for Thunderbolts. He will get that going in the next couple of weeks. So look forward to that on social media.
We'll do a fun contest for it. Yeah, we'll do it.
We'll find a way to do it like NCAA bracket style or something. Who's not surviving Thunderbolts? We'll do like just a Final Four or top 8 or something.
Right.
Done.
I think it's time, everyone. I think it's time. It's time to talk the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
Yes.
The first family. This is Disney's first crack at doing this, and I mean, look at the cast. Pedro Pascal. Who's hotter in Hollywood right now? Well, maybe Vanessa Kirby is. Joseph Quinn. Michael, I'm going to start with you. Fantastic Four. The cast is there. The stories in comic book history are there. Kevin Feige is there. Does this work? Because this is really the next step for Marvel. I think it really is. So does this work?
I think it does. I think they finally get it right. I think taking it back to the origins, the time periods. I don't know how they're gonna weave this in. I know it's a different universe. Do we know what universe it is? You know, the 616 and the 8.
No,
We don't know what universe. I don't think.
Okay. I think it's gonna work. I mean, Pedro's fantastic. Vanessa's fantastic. I mean, the cast is great. People seem to really like the Thing so far. Like as far as finally the look of the Thing, the voice. It seems people are not loving the voice, but I'm fine with it. I think the personality is great. I think it's gonna be fun. I love the Galactus angle. I think that's going to be really, really fascinating, and I cannot wait to see Doctor Doom. Will we see Doctor Doom in a post-credit?
Probably.
We're probably not going to get the full
right.
We're not going to get the full RDJ. That sounds a little sexual in a weird way. Sorry. We're not going to get the full RDJ. But I think it works, and I think it's going to turn a page and that wasn't on purpose.
Get that QR code.
Look at you.
But I think it's going to move things along, and I think it's going to be exciting. Had to do it. I think it's going to be exciting and putting Marvel in a different path and a different trajectory. And so I think it works. I'm excited to see how it works. They're not going to try to do like the gritty with the Miles Teller, that horrible attempt. And obviously the one that we saw 20 years ago was, that was before anything was anything, right? That's literally like around the time of X-Men. So I think it's going to be really good. And I think it's going to show us a sign of what's to come is what I'm guessing.
Janelle, I'm hoping you can touch a little bit on. Obviously, we're getting Galactus. We saw the trailer, and we're really getting that comic book look, which is absolutely amazing. But what about Silver Surfer? Where do you think they fit into all this?
Oh yeah, it's the female Silver Surfer, I believe, right?
Mhm.
Woman. Going to be interested because I know a lot of people were not happy about that because obviously the person from the book from the comics I meant is what was his name?
Norrin Red.
Huh?
Norrin Red.
No, yeah, like they want him. They don't want her. I don't know exactly where Silver Surfer will show up. Really excited to, obviously this was just a teaser trailer, so we don't know really much. The one thing that people were pointing out though is that I don't know if you guys noticed in the trailer when Sue was walking, she was walking a little bit weird. And people are speculating that they had what's the word? Had erased out her belly. That she's actually pregnant with
with Franklin and
with Franklin.
Oh.
So I would really like to see that because we obviously know that that their child is the most powerful. And I'm thinking that will tie into some other stuff. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for everything. The Thing looks good. Ebon is amazing from the bear. When he did the little, like the little tasting thing, I was like, oh my God, the bear! So I got really excited about that. Pedro, I've been a fan of him for everything. It seems like he has jumped in so many franchises. And this one is no different. I like that he changed the tone of his voice because that's probably what people were a little nervous about. Like, is he just going to be Pedro or is he going to actually be Reed Richards? So I'm excited about that. I know people are really not happy with Joseph Quinn as being Johnny Storm. Give him a chance because he was great in Stranger Things. So give him a chance. Mm-hmm. And of course, Vanessa, amazing as Sue. She looks the part, acts the part. I'm ready for the first family to arrive, and hopefully, like everyone has mentioned before, they have to get this right. They have to get it right. Just like how we were begging for Spider-Man No Way Home to get it right. Mm-hmm. Get it right. Let's go. We got everything in line. We got everybody in line. Let's get it right. So I'm looking forward to it.
I don't think we get, in both Marvel and in DC, we don't get too many casting decisions that are like, it didn't really work out. It happens from time to time, but most of the times these guys, these production studios, they really nail it. So, Megan, what's John Malkovich doing in this movie? What do you think his role is going to be?
Oh, dude, that was like the one thing I didn't know here. I don't know. I admittedly haven't. Oh, can we? I'd like to phone a friend.
Ken, you want to take that
one? Phone a friend.
So I will do this ODPH style. So we're gonna just locks and leaps. The lock is he's gonna play Red Ghost, who is a long-time Fantastic Four villain who has a group of super apes that fight the Fantastic Four. But I'm gonna say, because nobody is talking about this right now, he's gonna be the puppet master.
Ooh.
That everybody sees that hair, everybody sees the fake beard. No, something happens, accident comes away. He's going to be bald, working in a clay shop, and magic happens because we do know Natasha Lyonne is cast as Alicia Masters. You need to know your Fantastic Four history for that. He looks like him. Just if you see the character, just imagine a bald John Malkovich. It's him. So I am fully thinking it is him. I know there's talk of the Councils of Reed. I'm going to just say this. I know people want to tie it back to the Kang storyline, but I don't think we're going there right away, or it's going to be brief. So I don't think it's the Council of Reeds. I really don't. I think they're going to really try keeping this as grounded to Fantastic Four lore. I know, Michael, you probably know the Puppet Master as well as I do. Tell me that's not a tailor-made Disney villain.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So,
The second you said it, I was like, wow, that's like dead on. And yeah,
but it's throwing everybody off because he does look like the Red Ghost currently, but I don't necessarily know if they would go that route, because the one thing that, and I'm sorry, I'll go back to Megan in just a second. The one thing with this movie is we do know Galactus is in this.
Mhm.
I don't know if they necessarily want to go 2 supervillains, and technically 3, because Shalabal, who is this world's Silver Surfer,
That's
not
true.
the 6161, that'll be Norrin Rad when we
Right.
eventually get there. To load it up with that many villains, I don't necessarily know if they're going to do it, or if it's a wise idea, because it almost feels like that's too overwhelming on an audience that needs to get reconnected with this group because of the past films. I mean, we talk about the Michael Chiklis and Jessica Alba films, which were great for its time.
Don't
But
forget about Chris Evans.
Chris Evans and I completely forgot about the actor who played Reed Richards. Second time I've done this
It's
week.
like Ian or something.
Ian Grunfeld.
Yeah.
Which I apologize.
all I remember is his like long arms dancing and
Yeah.
I just remember his weirdly, the weird way he spells his name, and it's like Eon.
Yeah.
Something weird.
Yeah, I believe he's on the TV show Deception too, if I'm not mistaken. But he, like I say, I like that version was fine for its time. Julian McMahon, not exactly a great Doctor Doom, in my opinion, but he's a great actor in his own right. And then we're just gonna skip over the Miles Teller thing, but that because that completely let's be honest about that. That killed the franchise. So for them to come back to this Stan Lee and Jack Kirby vibe, which is modernly retro, I think is the smart play, because it kind of felt like a Jetsons episode, to be honest with you. And you get into the lore. It has everything that is catchy about the Fantastic Four that longtime readers know and new ones want to get involved with. That without Vin Diesel's involvement, it's still about family here, and that's the vibe you got from it, and just how they're planting the Easter eggs. That's why I say I don't necessarily know if they'd want to go Red Ghost so soon. But I can see it because he looks like him right now. But I'm going to say the swerve of all swerves, and you heard it here first. He's playing Puppet Master, and I need to hear.
Do we think Galactus is a red herring?
No,
Okay.
I think. I apologize. I keep like jumping ahead of Megan here.
No.
It's okay.
I fully think
Oh.
that he's the reason they leave this earth, because Reed can't beat him. So Reed has to escape to go to another multiverse with the family, or he's going to try taking this population, and it'll be some kind of weird merger. Probably something with like Loki and the timelines, like how it's fractured off, like something weird in that aspect. I'm not saying it's this screenshot that when Silver Surfer and Galactus are coming to Earth, because I think that's when the Silver Surfer comes, when you see that kind of orange sky at night. That's what I think is when Silver Surfer's coming. But I feel that that's how they're going to wind up getting out of there and coming to the 616, because like during the process of them traveling, that's when the events of Loki happen and throws their timeline off, and that's how they wind up in the 616. So, and then where we go from there is like really anybody's guess, but I think that makes the easiest route. I don't necessarily know how they're going to spin Doom in this, because my personal feeling is with the Thanos snap, Doom is somebody else, and he does the possession swap with Tony Stark's body.
Oh, I like that, Ken.
So thus, the real Doom is locked in some Latvian basement that is just like gaining dust, but it's Tony Stark trapped in that body until something gets leaked out, because Doom can't help himself, confesses the whole thing, and thus they do the swap over at Secret Wars, and the MCU is on a roll.
Wow.
Can we have alternate Ken's world of Marvel? I just want to see that. I want to see it.
I mean, I listen. I could try doing that. Maybe we'll just do it for a sideshow, like if the real MCU or something. It'd be a good
Right.
show.
Really?
The
Yeah.
MCU, according
If
to
this
Ken.
show gets shut down, we know it's Marvel stepping in and
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
if suddenly we don't have, this is suddenly
Oh, no feet.
appeared from Nerd Initiative. Yeah, so, something's up. But that's just my speculation.
Megan, we have an all-star cast
Yeah.
here to leading up the first family here. What do you think the audience is going to fall in love with these characters? I mean, the resumes are there for each actor playing each character, but do you think we'll fall in love with them, or are we doomed to not see them for who they are and just relate too much to the previous movies? And yeah, that was a good one, right?
I think that Pedro is going to be the hardest for everyone to swallow. Everyone's really, really mad about the mustache. Personally, I still don't see him as Reed, but I do think he's going to kill it because he kills unalives. He unalives everything that he does. So I think it's going to be amazing. Vanessa, fantastic. All I asked was that Sue was an absolute smoke show, and we got Vanessa. So thank you, Marvel, for that. I like Joseph Quinn as Human Torch. I have wanted that since Stranger Things.
Mhm.
And you have to think, like, even if you don't see him as, Flame On, I can see him being best friends with Spider-Man. And that's what I really wanted to find, is someone who had that chemistry.
Right.
Yeah. And the thing, man, I just need them to tweak the accent a little bit and like bring the voice down slightly. That's all I need. But that's such a small thing. But speaking about Ken over here, did anyone see in the trailer, you can see Mr. Fantastic drawing a multiverse bridge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone saw.
Mhm.
So I think because if anyone's read the what ifs with the ones last month with Galactus getting a new Herald, they make such a big focus on whoever the Herald is, like Spider-Gwen or any of them going to the planet first and warning the people. So I think Shalabal will come warn them, and he's like, oh, well, I have this handy dandy multiverse bridge. And they're like, well, he's going to eat this planet, but you need to go. And you're so essential for something big that happens that saves the entire universe. So you have to go now and don't feel bad about it. That's what I think it's going to be.
I see that.
You know, my Easter eggy thing that I noticed wasn't actually so much in the trailer. It was actually in that little brief teaser that they released of everyone running up to the window to watch the TV. And they did a little, child laugh track, and that had to have been the same one that was used in The Phantom Menace. If you go back and watch that, it was almost exactly the same. There's a scene in The Phantom Menace, where you hear that same laugh track. So that's my little Easter egg from Fantastic Four. Guys,
Marvel double dipping.
Guys, we talked about a lot here. We dove into everything. So I want to give everyone their opportunity to obviously plug themselves and give me your thoughts on 2025 for Marvel. And Ken, you have the longest laundry list of things to go over. So let's start with you. Marvel 2025 and plug yourself here.
Well, I mean, if we really want to go through odphpodcast.com, if you're new to Nerd Initiative, we do all of our QR codes here, so you might see some pop up on the screen. Also, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing the official pregame for New Comic Book Day, and that's Turn a Page, the comic book club for Nerd Initiative, where we have guests come by. Like this past weekend, Joey Esposito swung by with his new book, Kickers, and that is currently up for sale on Zoop right now, and we have more guests coming in the next 2 months, and I don't want to spoil anything right now, but I think this week we're going to be doing a deep dive into a Marvel show we were talking about today. So if you want to find out, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to Nerd Initiative YouTube, and don't miss the minute when we drop that on Tuesday night 8 p.m. But I said it's the pregame for New Comic Book Day, and of course nobody does New Comic Book Day like the Nerd Initiative bullpen, the hardest working team in comic reviews. This past week, 30 reviews dropping on the website from Marvel, Boom, DC, Image, Dark Horse, you name it. If it's a book you need to know about, our team is covering it like nobody else. So make sure you go check out that on nerdinitiative.com. The reviews are up right now, so definitely let us know what you're picking up at the shops, because we definitely want to know, because we are the home of pop culture positivity.
Before I move to you, Megan, Michael, does Ken get to keep his job?
Yeah, that was well done. I have no That was
No notes.
really well done. That was amazing. I concur.
Ken, you're still employed.
Yay.
And Marvel is
Megan.
great. So everybody, big year next year. Done.
Oh yeah, he did ask a question. I think I'm going to be a very busy woman this coming year with Marvel, and I'm very excited about that. You can find me on Vigilante Vibes podcast, my non-toxic Marvel podcast. You can find me in the Nerd Haven on Facebook, the Nerd Haven the group, non-toxic nerd culture group. You can find me with Nerd Initiative and Nerd Initiative News, where we do everything and talk about everything, obviously. And yes, that is it.
Well, actually, I was going to say there's a big announcement tomorrow.
Oh shoot, yeah.
On the Nerd Haven.
Yeah.
So
We're doing that tomorrow too. So
That was-
tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come back here and we will make a very big announcement. And you will find out who won the exciting giveaway.
yes.
So a lot of big things happening.
Stay tuned. ...
Janelle?
Oh, yes. So you can find me. I contribute a lot to Nerd Initiative. I'm in the comics bullpen. I'm in the TV and movie coverage. So hopefully getting some reviews done with that. You can find me on social media, X, Blue Sky. It's same name everywhere on all socials, Jan's Comic Space. And hopefully we'll join the Nerd Initiative News team again to talk about all of my favorite things. And yeah, I had a good time, and I think Marvel's going to do great this year, for sure.
So I'm going to go before you, Michael, since you are our fearless leader, and obviously you should close out the show. So I'm going to take this time and say I'm very excited for Marvel. 2024 was an interesting year, and 2025... there's going to be so much content that even if things don't necessarily hit, there's going to be other things that people are just going to jump in and love. For me, if you want to see me, you can see me Thursday nights hanging out with Ken and hanging out with Rich talking wrestling on Wrestling Night Live on, I got my Post-it note, YouTube, X, Facebook, Kick, and Twitch. You can also find me on Instagram, The Poke Traveler. Let me know what your favorite Pokemon is. And at this time, I have to turn it over to our fearless leader, the GEO, Michael.
No. I'm not promoting myself. I will be promoting the four of you. It's all about you guys. It's all about the site. It's all about all the amazing work you guys do. I'm taking a backseat to that. That's way more important. As far as the outlook, so yeah, everyone watching needs to check out everything that was just said previously, from Janelle to Megan to Ken to Turn a Page to Nick to on and on and on and on. The thing I will close by saying before passing it back to Nick for the final thoughts is I do think 2025 is going to be a really strong year. I think Captain America is going to be fantastic. And then, no pun intended, I hope Fantastic Four is fantastic. I do think it's going to work. And I love what Ken said. And it just got my brain, the hamster wheels going, thinking about all the different things going into Secret Wars and Doom. And it's going to be insane. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I think we're kind of in like a ellipses right now, right? Like we had the Deadpool year. Now it's to see where we're going in the future and see where this whole MCU juggernaut is heading. So I am excited to see where that goes, and I'm aboard for the train, of course. So I'm pumped.
Well, I want to thank all of you for participating. I think this was a very large topic, and I didn't see any way we wouldn't go long here because, I mean, Marvel's Marvel. It's a lot to digest. I want to thank everyone watching. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to be doing these specials monthly here, and throughout the month, we'll be dropping in other news stories. So, stay tuned to that and all the other great content we do here at Nerd Initiative. I want to thank you all again, and good night.